Denny Hamlin's fired up about the NASCAR Cup Series points, how they're reset for the chase, and much more. Now, he talked about this on his Actions Detrimental podcast. He's been the points leader for the majority of the season, and arguably he's been the best driver in the sport for most of the season. And in 2 weeks, almost all of it disappears, or less than 2 weeks or so. And he knows exactly by how much. Looking at the standings on his Actions Detrimental podcast, he worked out that 10th place is about to gain more than 300 points on him. Hear me out on this. And he said the thing that makes it all worth it in terms of talking about it in today's video. A driver could have set out the rest of the season, finished top 10 in the points, and still receive most of what Hamlin spent 26 races earning. Now, here's what makes his position more interesting, and more interesting than just a complaint. In the same conversation, he defended the format. He named a specific thing about it that he is glad is gone. So this isn't necessarily a man who hates the chase. It's a man who likes the chase and hates the reset. And those are two completely different arguments that almost everybody discussing this collapses into one. He said that's why it's good points format. I don't like that it resets. Good Lord holy, look at 10th place, is going to gain 300 and some points on me. F me. I could have set out the rest of the year and finished top 10 in the points. Dang it. Now that's a quote. And the meaning behind it, the emotion behind it is real. Under the reset, the top seeds starts at 2,100 points. And 16th points is 2,000 points. The entire field gets compressed into 100 points regardless of what the previous 26 races produced. For a driver who had built up a lead of well over 100 points through consistency, that isn't a small adjustment. It's most of the season, and it's basically deleted. Now, here's the part that people are missing. He said, you know what's really nice? Not going to have to deal with if this person wins the race, they're in. That's why it's a good points format. That's him praising the elimination of the win and you're in mechanism where a driver outside the cut line could win a single race and displace someone who had been better all year or in that grouping, right? Your top fours, your top eights, your top 12s, etc. So take both halves together, and his position is pretty specific. He's glad the format stopped, rewarding one hot afternoon over an entire season. And he's frustrated that the reset does exactly the same thing on a bigger scale. That's not a contradiction. That is an argument that most people are covering this haven't bothered to make. Now, there's a smaller complaint attached to this. It's the funniest thing on the entire episode. And he asked how locking up the top seed feels. He said, awesome. Where's my trophy? When told it doesn't exist, he said, that's just bull. I'm adamant. That's a cost-cutting measurement. Everyone knows that this is the regular season. I just want something. We got a graphic on NASCAR. They're on their social channels. That's cool. A driver who led the championship for most of the year, and all he gets is a social media graphic for it. Now, in the defense of NASCAR, they used to give out a regular season trophy. I can't even tell you what it looks like. I couldn't spot it out of a lineup, but they used to give it out. Now it's just social media. I don't blame them whatsoever. Who cares about a regular season championship? It all depends on, did you win the damn thing or not? Now, what he's grateful for is this, because you got to give him credit. He didn't leave it as a grievance. He put it all in context for himself. He said, if you would have asked me in February, you've already been the number one seed going into the chase after the offseason that he had, I would have said, wow, that's a pretty strong rebound. So we'll take it. Did you ever think we're going to take the lead after Sonoma and San Diego? Like, come on, man. We're on house money for sure. We got to be grateful. Let's be grateful. Now, that is a man complaining about the reset and at the same time acknowledging that he did not expect to be in a position to complain about it. Now, you may ask, why the seeding gap still matters. He also addressed whether the reset makes seeding irrelevant, and he doesn't think that it does. Is that about 20 points, he asked? Then, on the difference between 5th and 8th over the chase, he said it's 20 points over 10 weeks. You just never know. And what happens Once it starts, he said, everyone steps in the chase. We know that. Everyone. So he's not saying the reset makes the regular season worthless. He's saying that compression is severe enough that 20 points across 10 races become a real margin, which is another way of saying that the reset makes small gaps matter more, not less. Now, here's where I land. The most useful thing here is the distinguish. Basically, the difference here. He's drawing because almost nobody is drawing to it. He's not arguing against the chase. He's arguing that the format designed to stop the one lucky Sunday from outweighing a season does the exact same thing at scale in the reset. And he's the driver it's about to happen to. And while, yes, the reset is the entire point of having a postseason, without it, a driver, without having to deal with that, would then have a large regular season lead, cruise to a title in October, and the sport has no product in November, basically. NASCAR isn't unaware of what it's doing to Hamlin or anyone else who is in his spot. It's doing it deliberately, and it works. So I ask you, should the number one seed carry more than 100-point cushion? Or does the top seed deserve a regular season trophy? Let me know down in the comments area below. Now, here's where I stand on all of this. I appreciate Denny giving both sides. I appreciate him being forthcoming in where he sits, where he stands. At the end of the day, though, NASCAR is doing its best. We, the majority, did not like the race and you're in mentality for the regular season. And we also didn't like how you would have basically 3 races to advance, with the mentality of, if you go through a rough stretch, if you go through, say you win 7 straight races, but then you struggle the last 3, is that really fair, right? They're trying to make everyone happy, and that's a very, very difficult task to do. And they're trying their best. I'm okay with this format. I've always said, I think you should have a situation where, I'm trying to put this in context in terms of how you would do it under this format. But basically, in this format, I like it, but I wish that there was about a 3-race gap where you do 7 races under this format, and then the last 3 are like your best, whoever has the most points, say in the top 4 after 3 races, then you determine a champion. You could do it like that. But I don't have a problem with this format whatsoever. I like it. I just hope that we have interest going into Homestead for that last race.